Hello, and welcome to Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman, and I am delighted to be with you today. If you are a fan of the show, make sure to hit the follow button on the top right of Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you are listening at this very moment. When you hit follow, leave a review or share an episode with a friend. It helps other people discover the show, keeps us going. As I like to point out each and every day, it expands our base. I want to talk about a variety of subjects this morning, but I want to begin with the United States Supreme Court. The High Court is allowing Donald Trump to continue his mass firings. It is fascinating to me that even as we try to figure out what happened in Texas, was the federal government agency involved in monitoring weather understaffed, that even as we are dealing with these pressing questions, the Supreme Court, with only one dissent, has decided to allow mass firings. Let me be clear. This Supreme Court is not doing its job, and I believe that with every fiber of my being. It is not the first time that the Supreme Court has come under criticism by those who disagree with its decisions, on the left and on the right. Let me point out that there were constant critics of Roe v. Wade. Ultimately, Roe v. Wade was overturned, and there will be constant critics of the Supreme Court and its conservative majority that seems to want to go along with anything that Donald Trump says or does. The division, 6-3 on the court, between liberals and conservatives is a simple fact of life. But we are going to pay consequences, ladies and gentlemen, without any doubt in my mind, for the reduction in the workforce of our federal government. The idea that DOJ came up with of simply cutting indiscriminately is going to come back to hit us hard, and we are going to feel it, no question about it. Let me move on to the fact that we have a foreign policy issue. Donald Trump says Putin is killing a lot of people in Ukraine. Not only that, it turns out that the arms shipments that were going to Ukraine were stopped. Now, Donald Trump says he doesn't know how it happened. Somebody's responsible. He turned to the media and he said, "You tell me how it happened." Well, it turns out that we will find out how it happened. But the point is that what Donald Trump did in allowing this to take place is again an abdication of presidential responsibility. I cannot imagine another recent president who would have allowed this kind of major foreign policy decision to be made without knowing about it. That is, to me, dereliction of duty, with certainly broad implications. You understand that even as the rockets and drones hit Kyiv, there was no response from the White House until now. Now they're saying, send them the defensive weapons they need. There is something seriously wrong in the way we are conducting our policy in Ukraine. And I might add, as you know, the president is meeting today, as he did yesterday, with Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel. And they keep talking about a peace deal. I want to be crystal clear on the record right here with you. There is no peace with Hamas. There may be a temporary ceasefire. There may be a return of hostages. And I don't know if you heard the story, but there was a hostage taken. His girlfriend was taken. And he and she were reunited, and it was announced yesterday that they're getting married. It's a wonderful story, and it's a heartwarming story. But we must not forget what Hamas has done and what it continues to do. Now, I want to say a word about something else. I wrote a part of a book. I was asked to contribute to a book called American Jews and the Separationist Faith, The New Debate on Religion in Public Life. The book was published in 1993 by the Ethics and Policy Center. Ethics and Public Policy Center. I'm holding it here in my hand because I want you to know that something happened yesterday with the IRS that blew me away. The IRS is now saying that churches can endorse candidates for political office. I must tell you, this was a complete contradiction to what I have always believed to be the separationist faith in America, the idea of separation of church and state. And yet, the IRS has ruled, and this, by the way, at the urging of the Trump administration, Donald Trump, we will now have churches making endorsements for candidates for president. I remember vividly in 1960 and in 1968, Billy Graham, who was very close to Richard Nixon, decided not to make an endorsement. He was very careful because he understood that people followed him. And as he followed his religious faith, he didn't feel it was appropriate to have endorsements. Now, he could endorse personally, and there's no doubt that he did endorse Richard Nixon, but his church did not endorse. This is a major breach in the wall of separation between church and state, which hark back, of course, to Thomas Jefferson, who in a letter years ago decided to define this separation as being critical to American democracy. And that, of course, is not all that is happening that we should talk about. The state of California is now participating in a lawsuit dealing with whether or not federal officers can be deployed in local communities. This is a major question, but I want to come back, if I can, to the Supreme Court. I have little faith in this court, and I want to remind everybody that Mitch McConnell did not vote for the impeachment of Donald Trump in the second impeachment trial in the Senate because he said the courts will handle this. And of course, the court has not handled it. The Supreme Court, well, it's a serious question, one that we will be debating for many, many years to come. There are so many issues which we need to talk about, and that's what we try to do right here on Around the Political World with John Rothman. Some of you, I know, agree with me, others disagree, but I want to come back to one point, and that is that Donald Trump is doing precisely what he said he would do in terms of the exercise of presidential power. I gave him an A the other day for doing that, and some of you were very upset with me. It is not that I agree with the policies of Donald Trump, but what we are seeing is the most effective use of the American presidency in generations. And it is something to think about when we vote for a candidate for president of the United States. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Around the Political World with John Rothman. I am John Rothman. Make sure to follow along. Let me know your thoughts on the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and sharing an episode with a friend or colleague so we can continue to grow and expand, which, of course, is our goal. You can interact with me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and of course, many of you email me directly, and some of you call me, which is just fine. I want also to indicate to you that this podcast would not be possible without the wonderful work of our producer, Gogo Zoger. So Gogo, as I do every day, I want to acknowledge you and thank you. It's a pleasure. I am John Rothman. This is Around the Political World with John Rothman, and I'll be back with you tomorrow. See you then.